Hello, hello. I'm Casey.
And I'm Fallon.
And this is
Render the Darkness.
Your fact for the episode is that Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, Abraham Lincoln was a champion wrestler and a licensed bartender.
Interesting. Did not know that.
That's why it's called Fun Fact.
Interesting little tidbit.
Also, gear. Can't see it because I'm a horror. But can't see it because I'm a straight. Oh. Can you see it now, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, I'm about to take myself out. Hoodies would be worth it. Can you see the full?
Yeah, and it's on the back too.
And it's on the back. I'm not gonna show you my bummy bun.
Okay.
It's the same without the strings and the self-harm.
Okay, so now in the last episode we talked about the tragic murders of David Faraday, Benny Jensen, and Darlene Ferrin. We also talked about Michael and his survival and his ability to give a description of their attacker. We went over the first letter that was received with the Zodiac symbol, and I mentioned the codes that the 3 newspapers had received. Now in this episode we will discuss in much more detail the codes that are known as the 408 ciphers. We will also talk about the Lake Berryessa. Lake Berryessa. I will get it one day. The Lake Berryessa attack. Just to let you know that there are quite a bit of references, like quotes and different things throughout this as well. Now, just days after the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald received the 408 ciphers, the police received a phone call at 6:35 p.m. on August 8, 1969. George Murphy, who worked at the San Francisco Chronicle, told them that the code had been deciphered by a man named Donald Hardin, who sent him the papers he was working on that also included the cipher key. Now, the reason that they are known as the 408 cipher is because the cipher contained 408 characters. Now, after just 20 hours, Donald and his wife, who used the, I'm going to try to do this again, sorry if I messed it up, the homophonic substitution to crack the code. Now, the idea behind the substitution is to assign more than one letter or symbol to the higher frequency letters. For example, you might use 6 different symbols to represent an E and a T, 2 symbols for an M, and 1 symbol for a Z. Now, that's according to cryptointeractivemaths.com. Now, Zodiac had said that once the code was cracked, his identity would be revealed. But Detective Sergeant John Lynch of the Vallejo Police Department was a little disappointed when it didn't. Now, the code really was just about his thoughts, and there were quite a few spelling errors, which they were not sure if he had done on purpose or not. When the code was first sent to the papers, it was in 3 different parts. Each paper received a third of the full letter. So the Vallejo Times-Herald received this. Here's a cipher, or that is part of one. The other 2 parts have been mailed to the SF Examiner and the SF Chronicle. I want you to print the cipher on your front page by Friday afternoon, August 1st, 69. If you do not do this, I will go on a kill rampage Friday night that will last the whole weekend. I will cruise around and pick of all stray people or couples that are alone, then move on to kill some more until I have killed over a dozen people. Now, the code that they received, it reads as, I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. To kill something, and then it ends with GI. Now, the second one the San Francisco Examiner received, there said, here is a cipher, or that is part of one. The other 2 parts are being mailed to the Vallejo Times and the SF Chronicle. I want you to print the cipher on the front page by Friday afternoon, August 1st, 69. If you do not print the cipher, I will go on a kill rampage Friday night. This will last the whole weekend. I will cruise around killing people who are alone at night until sun night or until I kill a dozen people. Now their code read as, it starts off with the VES and then says, me, the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with the girl. The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise and all, and then ends with TH. Now the third one, the San Francisco Chronicle received, says, here is part of a cipher. The other two parts of the cipher are being mailed to the editors of the Vallejo Times and SF Examiner. I want you to print the cipher on the front page of your paper, and the cipher is my identity. If you do not print the cipher by the afternoon of Friday 1st of August 69, I will go on a kill rampage Friday night. I will cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again, until I end up with a dozen people over the weekend. Now their code read as, it starts off with an E, and then says, lone or stray people I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. And at the very end, it has the 18 characters that were actually not able to be deciphered. Now the full version of the code that most know today, that reads, I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with the girl. The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all the lone or stray people I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. Now, there are people who think that the 18 unsolved characters that are at the end of the cipher on the bottom might have another hidden message. However, the police, among some of the people that deciphered the code, think that the Zodiac may have accidentally missed a line from the original message when he was moving from the San Francisco Examiner to the San Francisco Chronicle. Now, that is when they believe that he left out lone or stray people. They also think that he didn't mean to leave the 18 unexplained characters at the end of the cipher either. The FBI in Washington also solved the cipher and corroborated the logic of Donald and Betty's solution.
So at this point, they're kind of assuming that this guy is pretty sloppy.
Yes. Yeah, he's...
And the fact that, they're viewing him to be sloppy at that point in time probably gave them a lot of confidence that they were going to catch this guy.
Yeah, I believe they probably thought that they would with as many mistakes as he was making.
Mm-hmm. But the question was also at that time, like you said a second ago, were they mistakes or were they intentional?
Exactly. That's the thing. They're just not 100% sure on that. Okay, so, sorry, I lost my place for just a second. Alright, so, for a long time, people have believed that the main inspiration for the three letters received on July 31st, 1969 was a story that came out in 1924 and the movie called The Most Dangerous Game that came out in 1932. Because it started, the start of the letter, it began with, I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. With the associate producer of that film having said, man is the most dangerous game of all. According to ZodiacCipher.com, there is another movie that could have had more of an impact on the Zodiac writings. That movie is called Rampage that came out in 1963. And it's about hunting in the Malaysia forest and had the elements for helping with the makeup of his July 31st letters. The movie is also about someone who likes to hunt wild animals without actually killing them. And this creates a problem with another character in the movie. Because a lot of researchers thought that the Zodiac was affected by the movies, it is speculated that he may have used the title Rampage when he wrote threatening to kill a dozen people over the weekend and said, if you do not print the cipher, I will go on a rampage Friday night. This will last the whole weekend. I will cruise around killing people who are alone at night until sun night or until I kill a dozen people.
Okay, so now they're not only assuming that this guy is sloppy, but they're also somehow piecing together that he must be like a film fanatic.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not really sure exactly how they come up with
the association to the movies and his
Well,
message, or I mean, obviously, if what they said about the movies is accurate, then there is a clear repeatness of, that's not a word, but he clearly is quoting something. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, there is, a reason why they say that, but I mean, those words are in numerous
that's
movies.
what I say. I maybe the one specific line that was said in the first movie, possibly, but to just go with the one word rampage, which is a pretty common word for people who have killed people to use or intend to become serial killers. I would assume that if they were trying to make a threat, that would be a pretty common word to use. It seemed like a pretty big jump, but maybe they had more than what they were telling people they had at the time that helped them connect those clues together somehow.
Yeah, that's very, very possible. Now, the next part, kind of goes into why they think that about the movies. It may not seem really plausible until you know about the crosshairs that was over the movie title in the opening credits. And it was on the poster about the movie as well as the Warner Brothers press book cover. Now, in 408's cipher, the Zodiac did use the words, "Man is the most dangerous animal of all," while the poster and the book cover used the wording, "The woman who was the most dangerous game of all." So the credits, the poster of the movie, and the press book contained "Go on a rampage," "The most dangerous game of all," and the crosshairs that were used so much by the Zodiac, thus the reasoning behind why many people believe that this could be true. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Lake Berryessa attack that happened on September 27th, 1969. Brian C. Hartnell was born on July 1st, 1949 in Walla Walla, Washington. His dad's name was Calvin Hartnell, who was born on October 20th, 1923 in Bellingham, Washington, and he passed away on April 3rd, 2016 in Portland, Oregon. His mother's name was Catherine Hartnell. Now, I did try to find more on his mom, but I really couldn't find a whole lot out there. Now, Cecilia, why did I just go? Cecilia, which is a very pretty name. Cecilia Ann Shepard was born on January 1st, 1947 in India. Her father's name was Robert Shepard, who was born on September 21st, 1921. I wasn't able to find out when he had actually passed away, but I did find that he might be buried in India. Her mother's name was Wilma Dolores Eller, who was born on July 7th, 1923 in Merced, California. Hopefully I said that correctly as well. And passed away on March 11th, 2006 in Redding, California. She had a sister named Kathleen Sharon Alice Shepard Schreckengost O'Bannon, who was born in 1949 and passed away on July 6, 2016 in Portland, California. On September 27th, 1969, Brian and Cecilia were enjoying each other's company while having a picnic by the Twin Oak Ridge at Lake Berryessa. Now, Cecilia noticed a man that was acting kind of strange, and she seen that he went and hid behind a tree before he come back into view wearing a black executioner's hood and a waistline bib, which had the well-known Zodiac symbol on it, and a pair of clip-on sunglasses. And when he came closer to the couple, she was able to see that he was carrying a gun, and she said, "Oh my God, he's got a gun." In the 2007 Zodiac documentary, Deputy Dave Collins would talk about the details that Cecilia had given. She said, "Brian and I were on the blanket down by the water, and we were just enjoying the afternoon, having a nice time talking, and I saw this guy. He was coming down the hillside, and he seemed to stop and watch us, looking at us." The deputy then asked her what distance, how far away was he? And she pointed to a specific area, and the deputy had said, "That's about 200 to 300 yards away." And she replied saying, "That's where I first saw him. And then as we continued enjoying the afternoon, watching the water, reading, I glanced and noticed he would get closer and closer, and pretty soon he was within 75 to 100 feet away. And I told Brian that the guy had come down here. Dave Collins recalled the conversation between him and Cecilia, stating that she then looked again and he had gone. And I said, "Where did he go?" She said he stepped behind a tree. And I asked her if she saw him clearly before he put the hood on, and she said that she did. And I said, "What did he look like?" And she said, "Well, I said, "What color was his hair?" And she said it was brown. "What race was he?" "He was white." And I said, "How about his eyes? Could you see the color of his eyes?" And she said, "No. He had dark glasses on underneath the hood." But she said his hair hung down across his forehead and was showing through the eye holes. Deputy Collins would say that the information and the details that he was saying in the documentary are true and accurate because he got them directly from Cecilia and that he had written the notes that he used for the report the next day. Now, the attacker told them that he had escaped from Deer Lodge, Montana, and he had killed one of the guards and taken his car. He told Brian that all he wanted was his car keys and his money, and without hesitation, Brian gave it to him. He also tried to talk to the attacker so maybe he could get some sympathy from the man, thinking maybe he wouldn't hurt them. Fortunately, the man made Cecilia tie Brian up with some plastic clothesline. Brian told her that he had seen an opportunity to get the gun, but she had asked him not to do anything in case it made matters worse. The man then went around and tied her up as well. Now, after they were tied up, Brian had asked the attacker if the gun was actually loaded. In response, the attacker pulled out the gun and showed him the clip that was full. The attacker then started to stab Brian 6 times in the back, and he stabbed Cecilia 10 times, some striking her in the back and the abdomen. Thinking that they were going to lose their lives, Brian stopped his breathing to make it seem like he had died, because he knew if he tried to fight or move around a lot, the attacker would come back and make sure that he really was dead this time. The tactic worked, and the attacker left. And Brian was able to make his way to the roadside after the attack, trying to find help. Now, right after the attack, a man named Ronald Henry Fong was on the lake when he had heard the cries of Brian, and he went to find help at the Rancho Monticello Resort. Ranger Sergeant William White was on patrol when he got a call from the park headquarters over the radio about the attack, and he made his way to the resort at about 6:56 p.m. Ronald told Sergeant White what he had seen when he had first spotted the couple, and both the men, along with Archie White and Elizabeth White, got into a speedboat and went to the crime scene to help Brian and Cecilia at 7:10 p.m. Ranger Land, who had seen Brian at the roadside and picked him up, arrived with Brian at 7:10 or close to it. The Sergeant White got on his radio to contact the park headquarters, telling them that they needed to call an ambulance and the police. The couple were taken to the Queen of the Valley Hospital and arrived at 8:50 p.m. Deputy Ray Land and Sergeant David Collins were sent to the scene from St. Helena and Napa. On the documentary, this is the Zodiac speaking, Sergeant Collins had said, "It took us half an hour from Napa and or St. Helena to arrive at the location. And we later found out, of course, that the crime had occurred at least half an hour before we were notified. When Deputy Collins got to the scene, Cecilia was alive, and she had stated that the attacker was just maybe a little taller than you, maybe an inch, which Deputy Collins was about 5'10".
So there was 2 Collins? There was a Deputy Collins and a Sergeant Collins?
Deputy Ray Land and Sergeant David Collins.
Yeah. So is that 2 people?
Deputy Ray Land?
Yeah, and then Sergeant, because down here you start calling Collins Deputy Collins instead of... So was there 2 different...
Yeah, it's supposed to be Deputy Sergeant David Collins, I believe, and I think I accidentally just left out the sergeant there.
Okay, I just thought maybe there
fault.
was... No, I'm sorry. I just thought maybe there was another person.
No, it's the same. I just left out that part.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No,
Sorry.
you're fine. I just was confused. I was like, okay, so there was 3 of them? Sorry.
No, you're fine. That was my fault. I missed that there. Okay, so now Brian and Cecilia Brian and Cecilia survived the attack, but unfortunately 2 days later Cecilia would pass away because of her injuries due to internal and external hemorrhage from the knife wounds.
That's sad.
Yeah. Now, her autopsy was performed by Dr. D. Pietris, and he stated that in his opinion, the blade was 9 to 11 inches long and 1 inch wide, and may have been sharpened on both sides. He said that the blade was like a bayonet, and that her wounds indicate that it was a very heavy or sturdy blade. Now, the next day, Brian was interviewed by Sergeant John Robertson at the hospital, and he said that when he was talking to the attacker, the man told him, "I just got out of some prison in Montana." Brian tried to remember the name of the prison and said, quote, "It's some double name like Fernlock or something." Sergeant Robertson helped him along by saying, "It's Lodge." And Brian said, "Oh yeah, at least we know we're together on that." And Robertson said, "Mountain Lodge prison or something of that nature." Brian then said, "Yeah, he broke out and had to kill a guard getting out." Now, some people think that the prison the killer was talking about was Deer Lodge Prison in Montana. But that may be because the investigator was helping Brian with the questions while he was sedated at the hospital. The police report does make the Montana statement seem unlikely because Sergeant White said in his testimony that Brian related to him that the subject advised him he was an ex-con from Colorado. Brian was able to give a little bit of a description of the attacker. He said that he had brown hair, looked to weigh about 225 to 250 pounds, was about 5'8", 5 inches tall. 5'8" to 5... I'm sorry.
I was like, dang, he shrank.
Sorry. 5'8" to 5'10" tall. Excuse me. It's okay. I knew it as soon as I said it. I was like, oop. He did say that he wasn't really sure about the height because he was so tall.
Maybe he was 5.
Maybe. He also said that the attacker had an interesting way of speaking. He said in the documentary that he had an accent when he spoke. He said that the attacker wore a black hooded mask that was made of cloth that covered his whole head and shoulders that went down to his waist. On front of the mask, on his chest area, was a white circle that was 3 by 3 inches in diameter with a symmetrical cross. Almost got tongue-tied there. Mm-hmm. Now, in the report, Brian did back up what Cecilia had said, and he said he could see hair through the mask's eyelets and observed the hair to be dark brown. Also in the documentary, Brian said that Cecilia had stated she saw a man over there, and he went behind a tree. He also stated that, "I'll tell you another thing that probably made me think that it was somebody over there. It wasn't an approved park site, so there wasn't regular established bathroom. So if you had to go to the restroom, you just kind of get out of eye shot of whoever you were with or go behind a tree like that." After the attack and after the pair was taken to the hospital, Deputy Sergeant Collins, would go to the roadside to inspect some tire marks and the car door. And he had stated, after the ambulance took the victims to the hospital in Napa, remember it arrived at approximately 7:55 p.m., so likely left around 8:05 p.m. to arrive at the Queen of the Valley Hospital at 8:50 p.m. And while waiting for the detectives from the Sheriff's Department to arrive, Deputy Land talked to the witness and obtained statements from them. I began a search for evidence and discovered a footprint that led from Berryessa. For some reason, I just can't get it to come out of my mouth correctly.
Tranquilizer.
Exactly.
Berryessa.
If you know, you know. Knoxville Road to the victims and back again, which was totally separate from the shoes that they were wearing. When I went to the roadway, I saw the white, see if I can say this again, Carman Gia, and I saw tracks leading away from it. He further added that I looked at the vehicle, and on the passenger door, the circle with the vertical and horizontal line through it was displayed on the door, and there were several dates, and then it ended with September 27th, 1969, 6:30 p.m. by knife, which was our crime. So he had left his calling card, which is what he had done. I recognized the symbol on the door as being the same symbol he had described on the hood, or she had described on the hood. And the attacker actually left footprints at the scene that were thought to be a size 10.5 military boot made by wingwalkers. The vehicle that was a Carmangia, which is a Volkswagen, was 510 yards from the crime scene. The attacker left a message on the door with a black marker, which will become a trait that the Zodiac will become known for as well. That said, Vallejo 12 20 68 7469, September 27 69 6:30 by knife. The attacker went down to the 1231 Main Street phone booth. Wow. Don't know what happened there. Sorry. The 1231 Main Street phone booth, about 27 miles from the crime scene in the downtown area of Napa, and called the Napa Police Department at 7:40 p.m. The caller said that he was the one responsible for the last attack. The dispatcher, Dave Slate, was the one who had answered the call, and the attacker said, "I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They're 2 miles north of park headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carmangia. The phone went silent for a minute, and the caller said, 'I'm the one that did it.'" Now, I do have a clip of the call as soon as I get it up. Give me just one moment. I must have lost it. That is not good. So I'm going to try to... You might need to talk some. Just one moment. It's not going to take long, I promise.
Please don't sue
There we go. Okay.
I'm not sponsored.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay.
Y'all are welcome too.
Yeah. Alright, so hopefully y'all can hear this okay. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear it too well on the video or not, but maybe if I turn it up a little bit. Okay. Alright, so here is the clip. Alright, so that was the actual clip of the phone call that he made. Now, a police report stated, the reporting officer then approached the phone booth and noted the receiver of the phone was off the hook and laying on the shelf with the mouthpiece directly under the phone unit. The earpiece protruding to the south and the openings on the receiver facing the east wall of the booth. The folded door being the south enclosure of the booth. At about 3:30 p.m., September 27th, 1969, so earlier that day, 3 women went to the Pacific Union College, had left their car at a location that was 2 miles north of the A&W root beer stand on Knoxville Road. When the women got out of their car to go sunbathe, they seen a man driving a silver or light blue Chevrolet 2-door sedan that had California plates pull up to the back of their car who just sat there. And they think that he stayed in his car for 30 minutes before they saw him again, watching them around 40 to 50 feet away. When one of the women would look his direction, he would avoid eye contact, making the women a little suspicious of him. They described him as being between 28 to 40 years old, looked to weigh around 200 to 225 pounds. He was 6 feet tall, had black hair that was styled. They said that he also had round eyes and thin lips. They said that he was a good-looking guy with a muscular build. He was wearing dark pants and a dark pull-down shirt. One of the women said that she thought she seen a white belt around his back, or maybe it was a white shirt hanging out. Another woman said that he had been wearing a black short-sleeve sweatshirt that was bunched up in front, and she also talked about a white shirt hanging out. They decided to leave around 4:30 p.m. and seen that his car was no longer there, according to ZodiacCipher.com. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. The police report stated that after the women had arrived at 3:30 p.m., approximately 1/2 hour had passed, which would be 4 p.m. They observed what appeared to be the same subject standing with 40 or 50 feet of them. apparently observing them. The subject hung around the area for approximately 30 to 45 minutes, which would be 4:30 to 4:45 p.m. Then the girls observed him walking up the hill. But on another page of the report it stated, the three girls left the area about 4:30 p.m. and the subject's vehicle was gone. So the time the man left was estimated to be between 4:30 and 4:55 p.m. Now, theory on Zodiac cipher is that maybe the attacker was going to target the women first. Because remember, Brian said that the attacker had a knife and cut up rope in his back pocket. Now, maybe the women confused the white clothesline rope for a white shirt, and maybe the attacker for some reason got scared or something turned him off on that attack, and instead decided to go after Brian and Cecilia. Now, here are the two different descriptions and accounts. So, the first one is there's four different ones, so the first one is a subject driving a late model silver blue Chevrolet two-door sedan. The subject was described as 6 foot tall, weighing 210 pounds, muscular build, rather nice looking. Vehicle described as a 1966 or 1967 light blue Chevrolet with California plates. Witness believes the vehicle was a two-door sedan and described the taillights as long rather than round. And that was the second one. The third one says, subject was described as approximately 28 years of age, 6'1 to 6'2, 200 to 225 pounds, black hair, possibly styled, with a part on the left, round eyes, thin lips, medium nose, straight eyebrows, small ears, well built, rather nice looking.
Why is that a thing? Why is nice looking something that... You see it a lot.
Yeah, it's in a lot of cases where the victims or the witnesses
describe them as nice looking. Like, that's a completely subjective...
It is.
Description. I don't think it really helps the police.
No, because I mean, like, you think, you know, like, somebody that I think is attractive or good looking, you may not find attractive or good looking.
Sure.
So if you're looking for somebody that is attractive and good looking, after I say that he's attractive and good looking, you're not going to be looking for the same person. You're going to be like, oh, well, that's not him.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I feel like that's probably the case for a lot of the cops, because they'll be like, you know, oh, hey, yeah, this guy has brown hair, this guy has long brown hair, and he's about 5'10", and he's good looking, must be the guy.
Sorry, I'm reaching
I don't think that's something they go off a lot, so I don't really understand the reason why people add that in.
I don't know, it's kind of like back in the day, was it Charlie Manson? He was supposed to be a really good looking dude.
Negative Ghostwriter, no.
I'm just saying, back in his time, apparently he was supposed to be.
Yeah, and that's how Jeffrey Dahmer was always described as good looking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if like the whole idea of that is because, you know, like in movies and more often than not, actual murderers as well tend to be a little more like scruffy looking and a little more homely. So to have somebody who looks like average or above average, like in cleanliness or appearance, maybe helps to at least eliminate that one group of people, maybe. But they don't say like he was clean cut or he was whatever. They say good looking.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a unnecessary factor.
Yeah. Detail that doesn't really need to be said.
Right, and it happens so often. Anyway, all right, that was my soapbox for this episode. Don't think you won't get another one next time.
Every time.
Every time. I'm a Gemini. I have a lot of I got opinions.
Hey,
I got something to say.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
We be saying. Back to you saying.
Okay, so the last one says that
Yeah, you were saying?
I was saying that the vehicle was described as a late model Chevrolet sky blue in color. The rear taillights.
Tar lights.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Okay, let's try this again. The vehicle was described as a late model Chevrolet sky blue in color. The rear taillights appeared to be long rather than round. She described the subject as 6 foot tall, stocky build, about 200 pounds, black short sleeve sweater shirt, oh my gosh. Dark blue slacks.
Dark blue slacks and straight dark hair.
Yeah, for some reason I've got accents.
You got Mora in here now.
Yeah, they're just like popping in and out, just different accents. Oh man. Okay, so dark blue slacks and straight dark hair neatly combed. She guessed his age at approximately 30 years. Now, after the attack, the police and media kept an important detail from the public. They were hoping by doing this that if someone did call again saying that they were the attacker, that that person gave that detail, they would know for sure that it really was the attacker. Mm-hmm. Now, the fact they left out was the words "by knife" that was written on the car door. However, 22 days after the attack, those words were released by the Vallejo Time-Herald, but the Zodiac didn't reach out telling of any of his involvement in the attack in any further communications.
How does the media do that? Do you know how many countless things have been botched by them doing that? Releasing information that's being intentionally held back with the hopes that it'll help solve the case, and it just gets completely destroyed by the media just saying whatever they want to say.
Yeah, it messes up a lot. I don't know if it's just because they know it's going to get more viewers, or
I guess it's the idea that they have this exclusive information. Yeah, I think most people still get physical copies of papers. I think it's pretty common. Don't get me wrong, you can also get it digitally, but
well, back then.
Back then
they were probably thinking they would get more sales, so they would try to release.
Yeah, because they have this exclusive thing that has never been released. We're the first to.
Yeah.
But still, you're putting lives at risk by doing that. So it's like, come on.
Yeah. I agree, but that is where we're gonna end for a part 2. I'm gonna be real with y'all.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how long.
To talk. Oh.
Well, if they're still here, if they're listening to us now, they know that I can't talk. That's just, that's just part of my personality, and if I can talk, it's usually in different accents. Don't know why. But no, I don't honestly know how long this is going to be. Because there is a lot of information, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of information. I knew it was a big case. I just didn't know how big of a case it was until I started doing research. So, what we're probably going to do is...
I'm going to step in to save the day.
Yeah, she's probably going to do her next one, which I think is...
It's a 2-part.
2 parts.
At least. I gotta be real with y'all. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I'm just kidding. It's 2 parts.
So mean. Just rude. But, so after hers, then, I'll probably do another 2 parts.
Give or take.
Yeah, it may be more like I don't know. I'm going to try to wrap it up as neatly as I can, but I still want to be able to give as much information and facts that I can as well, so I don't want to just rush it and leave a whole lot of stuff out.
Well, plus we need a small. Next week I'm still gonna put out the same 2 episodes not the same episodes we've already done, but new episodes next week at the same 2 time slots we typically would do it. But also it'll help allow a small gap in time there where we can enjoy a little bit of time with our families for the holidays.
Right.
As I'm sure most people are doing. We are going to also try our best to do that while also continuing to put the episodes out at the same rate that we've been doing.
Sorry, I got that song in my head. Christmas time is near.
Not sponsored, Earthquake.
That Saturday Night Live just popped in my head.
Hey, we can't
we
can't earthquake the camera anymore.
Yeah.
I know. Look, okay, so we got a new setup. I don't know if you can tell. We rearranged the office a little bit. I know it's a little bit darker than it has been. We are going to correct the lighting.
Yes.
But, A, you're not staring at the clowns. So for any of you who enjoyed that, I'm sorry. If you want me to move them, please feel free to comment and tell me if you would like me to put them back behind us. I can. And you don't have to worry about my face being blocked out by the sun.
Yeah.
Yay! You get to see my face every time. How exciting for you is that?
Yeah, and you don't have to look at the sides of our faces anymore. You get to
And we can sit next to each other, and we're right in front of you, so you don't have to see like the tops of our heads or barely the frame of our glasses, or well, her glasses.
I was gonna say when I'm doing this, you kind of.
But you can still see your full face, whereas before you were kind of blocked. So new setup. It's not perfect. We know that. We're going to try to work out the kinks and see if we can make this work. And if not, we'll just rearrange it again. So be patient with us during our transition period while we figure out what works best for recording visually and sound-wise. We also have some new equipment coming in for sound, which will also hopefully improve the quality of that as well. We're working on it. We're getting there.
Yes.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
I will literally pay you to not do that again. I said to not do that again.
But I want to because it annoys you.
Well, now you get no money.
Oh well. It's worth it. Baby steps.
So, that was our episode for today. That was our part 2 of the Zodiac Killer. Very interesting stuff there. Really was fascinated by the codes, the deciphering of the codes.
Oh yeah, I didn't really say what this episode was, did I? I just kind of went into it. Sorry.
So if you're still listening, this was the Zodiac Killer part 2.
Yeah, which I'm sure you know if you listen to the first one, you probably know it. But, you know, I should have said it.
That's okay.
I'll remember for part 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I like how you trailed off like that.
Hopefully it's not going to be that long.
But as always, thank you guys for spending your time with us. If you want to reach out and say hi or anything you want to say at all, feel free. And any otherwise, this is
Render the Darkness.